What's up everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're taking a look at if you should buy Dragon Marked for Death on the Nintendo Switch. This is an exclusive that recently launched on the system, and it's very interesting because it's an action RPG made by Inti Creates. They're known for the Azure Striker Gunvolt series. They've worked on Mega Man games in the past, and you can tell by definitely playing this game, you're going to see the Mega Man influences, you're going to see the 2D action RPG influences. It's actually a nice little mashup of everything that they've done before, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the game and how it's kind of given to you, the monetization method, because it's a little bit different than what we've seen before from Inti Creates, and I'm not exactly sure why they decided to go this route. So the game is actually split into two different parts. So you can have the beginner's pack, which gives you the sword character and the knight, or you can have the advanced pack, which gives you the magician and also gives you the ninja. Now, in either pack that you buy, you're still going to get the full game, so you can access all the different missions, you can go online and play. Everything is there for you, all the weapons and everything like that in either pack that you buy, but it's just those two characters. So if you want to play as the other characters, you have to purchase the other pack, and they're $14.99 each. Once you buy one of them, you can go into the eShop and purchase the other ones if you want to. Now, you don't have to if you don't want to. If you want to just use the ninja and the mage, I said magician, but whatever, mage, magic user, if you want to just use either one of them, then you can just do that. Or if you want to use the main character and her sword or the knight, you can do that as well. So it works either way. Now, let's go ahead and get into a little bit of the story, and then we'll kind of talk about the sound and some of the other stuff, the art and the gameplay, of course. So the story is interesting because you are the surviving Dragon Clan member. They were wiped out by the celestial power and they wiped out your whole clan, but pretty much just two of you. There's only two of you left, and they've kidnapped the Dragonborn, who is born once in every single 100 years. So it's a nice little setup to the story, and you gain the power of that through your great friendship with her. You gain the power of the Dragonborn clan to avenge the death of all of your people being wiped out, and that's pretty much the premise of the story. So you have to go find her and save her, and also you have to exact your revenge for what happened. So it's pretty cool. I mean, I like the way that they present the story. I think it's okay. There's plenty of NPCs to talk to that further develop the character and the history and the lore behind it. Nothing elaborate, and I haven't made it all the way through towards the end, so I can't tell you how more elaborate it gets, but I think that it's good enough, and there's just enough people to talk to in town, and they say just enough interesting things to keep you interested in the story and kind of what's going on. But don't expect some type of huge overarching story that's going to sweep you off your feet or anything like that. It's not that, but it's just good enough for the style of game that it is. Now let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the art style, because I think this is where Dragon Marked for Death is really cool. And if you're into the 2D art, if you're into like the pixels and you do like that, the sprite work in this game is actually really nice. I do like the backgrounds and the levels, although the enemy design can be a little lackluster. The boss design isn't bad. There's some cool stuff with the ogres, but just some of the regular enemies just look really dumb, but some of them do look pretty cool as well. So it kind of varies in terms of the quality of everything. The art and the level design does leave a little bit to be desired at times. Some of the levels just don't feel as tight as, let's say, Azure Striker Gunvolt. It seems like some of it is a little bit too open, or they don't do enough within the levels like you saw in their previous games, like a Mega Man title or also like an Azure Striker Gunvolt. So there is some more to be left there, but I do think because this is a multiplayer game, this is more of a RPG, you need some more open areas to fight, but it just doesn't look quite as good as what I would have expected from them with this style of game, but not bad. Now let's talk a little bit more about the sound and everything. Sounds really good. I like the sound of the swords and the weapons, and when you hit people, it does sound good. And I think that this is a very underrated thing, especially in action games, when you're going to be hearing the same sounds over and over, and the same quips and the same grunts and everything like like that, everything needs to sound good, and it needs to be a certain level of quality so it doesn't get like grating on your ears. And I've put a number of hours into this game, and I never really got too tired of any of the sound effects, or like the shrieking sound, or like the flying through the air, or any of that type of stuff. It all sounded pretty good and held up well over the numerous hours that I did play the game. Now let's talk about the big thing here, and that is the gameplay. The gameplay and kind of what you do within the game, level progression, kind of how all of that ties in. So this game, it works by quests, okay? It works by quests. Like you go on a mission. So you're in like a hub area, and that's where your safe area is. You can access your equipment. You can go to weapon shops. You can go save. I mean, all of that is right there in that hub area in the town. And that's where you can also accept quests. You go there, you look at the difficulty, you can choose to play single player, local multiplayer, or online multiplayer. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't test out the online multiplayer because the matches that I tried to get into, there was connection errors, or they weren't allowing other people to come in, or it just wasn't working for some reason. So I wasn't able to test it, and there just wasn't a lot of people playing online because I was playing at night, and yeah, there just wasn't a lot of people who probably got the game and was playing just because there's a bunch of other games out. But either way, I wasn't able to test that out, so I just played the single player. And that's where you kind of go in this tavern, and you have difficulty. You can kind of see exactly how much rewards you can get, and the information in terms of what the quest is and what you need to do are also listed there. Now, once you get into it, it boots you into where the area is, whatever town or area that you're going to go to. It goes from there. So it's a nice little setup, and I do like that it's more direct. You don't have to remember what part of the area like to go to after a quest. It just puts you there so you can go and get the job done. Now, this is where things can get kind of cool and kind of not good when it comes to the quest structure. Some of the quests are really weird. Like one quest, I had to purify ponds by using berries, but instead of being able just to pick up the berry and take it over to the pond, I had to literally hit the berry, like hit the piece of fruit or whatever, across the whole stage 3 separate times to purify each one of these, with the last one having a monster in there, not letting you purify it with the monster in there because it eats it or something like that. But either way, it was weird that I just couldn't just pick up the berry and have it in my inventory, then drop it in the pond when I needed to. I didn't understand why you have to hit it across the whole stage, which does just get a little lame after a while hitting that berry. There's also some other annoying quests that have you do certain things when it would have just been easier for them to just say, hey, you can just pick this item up and keep it in your inventory, then take the item out when you need it. Now, in terms of the combat and kind of how the gameplay flows with the quests and everything, it's still a lot of fun. It's tight. The controls are really good. I like what they did here. If you've played a Striker Gumball, if you've played the Mega Man Zero type of games and all of that, then you're going to be right at home with this one. There's not really any problems with the controls. It's really responsive. I was playing on my lagless monitor, but it's a 2D sprite-based game, so you're not really going to get any input delay or lag. The controls feel good. The attacks feel good. I do like the gameplay in the game. There's some nice combos because this is an action RPG, so you do have elements of equipment. You do have elements of different type of items that you can use that can affect your equipment. You get experience and you level up after the mission's done. You can level up and put points into your different attributes, and all of those attributes factor into how hard you hit, how much life you have, and all of that. It's actually a pretty nice setup, and it feels good to play. There's some pretty cool attacks that you can do. Each different warrior that you have has different special moves with the dragon blood in them. With the ninja, you can dash into them just like everybody else, but you can do different types of kick and spinning attacks, and also throwing with your shuriken. And the cool thing about it is that there's this little meter, and at the top, anytime you do a special action, for example, throwing a shuriken or doing a dragon dance, that takes up meter, but anytime you get regular hits, it fills up the meter. So you can actually chain together some nice combos and filling up your meter at the same time by doing multiple dashes into enemies, then comboing them up. It feels pretty good, and it took me a while to get the hang of that system to say, okay, well, this is how you do it to where you don't run out or anything. But once you get the hang of it and you actually start stringing together some combos where there's multiple enemies around, it's actually a lot of fun just because the controls are tight, the gameplay is good. You guys know Inti Creates. They always have solid controls and tight mechanics and good stuff to layer on top of a basic system. So that was all good from that front. It was just some of the bosses and some of the levels just seemed like a little bit like I was just hacking away at them forever, and that was one of the first bosses that I ran into. I probably was doing things wrong because I guess I wasn't rushing into them as much, so I probably could have took a lot more damage that I was taking, and that's just more of my inexperience. But it does seem like some of them are just like sponges for damage, especially if you're playing single player wise. Playing single player, you're definitely going to have some issues where you have some sponge enemies and you might need to have some help kind of brought in there. And speaking of that, preparing for some of these quests is one of those things that you definitely need to do. Like, you need to bring antidotes, you need to make sure that you bring like confusion heals, you need to make sure that you bring all of that. The only issue though is that you have a limited amount of items that you can carry in your stock. So managing items, managing your money, well, items are separate from like weapons, so you don't have to worry about that, but there's a limited amount of items that you can carry in your pouch. So you have to make sure that you really manage that and bring the items that are necessary to that event. So if you know that there's going to be an enemy or a boss that confuses you because confusion is stupid and it lasts too long, or if there's going to be enemies that poison you, you better bring those antidotes and everything, because you just get destroyed by poison. Poison will just keep zapping your health and zapping your health. It does not wear off quick, and it takes a good amount each time. Same thing with confusion, just keeps on making you mess up your controls. They're inverted, and you will die if you are not prepared, especially with some of these boss battles. But the boss battles are fun. The ones that I did come across, I had fun. It seems like there is a challenge even early in the game when you're playing by yourself, so I do like what they did with all of that. I think that the game is quality in some areas, just other areas it's lacking, and maybe that's the reason why things have just been a little bit mixed on the game overall, what people think. But with my playtime with the game and the amount of hours that I put into it, I had a ton of fun. And if you play with friends, whether it's local or with your friends online, not trying to do random matchmaking, but play with your friends online, there's probably a lot more fun to have. Now, I will say with the combat, there's one little issue that I do have with it, and that is that there's no dodge button at all. It would have been nice if there would have just been a nice little back dodge button or a forward roll button or like a backflip that you can do with the ninja or something, or at least a sidestep or something. I think that's the little thing that's missing with the combat, because you can't do any type of attack canceling. So you have to really just say, okay, I'm going to hit this person 1 or 2 times, or kind of fade in, then fade back out, or do your little dragon rush, which I don't understand why developers who make action games don't put attack canceling in there. I know Darksiders launched with that, but then later added it in. Inti Creates, if you're watching this video, please make sure you guys put in some attack canceling with the dodge. I think a dodge button would make the combat just a little bit better in this game, because you can be a little bit more aggressive and not have to count out your attacks and say, okay, I'm going to be ending in this amount of lag, so let me just move out at this point. Attack canceling would be nice, and the difficulty's already there, so it's not like it would make the game too easy. But that's pretty much my only gripe with the controls and how the game actually feels to play. There are some quests and structure, level design issues that kind of factor into the gameplay as well, but once you start playing and getting into it and leveling up your character and getting new weapons and all that, it's actually fun. It can actually be a fun game. It's not the best indie game that's recently released or anything. I think there's been better indie games that have came out, but it's definitely not a bad game at all. So should you buy Dragon Marked for Death on your Nintendo Switch? Well, it just depends, right? If you're looking for a solid indie action RPG on your Switch to play that doesn't take too much like thought process to kind of just get in and start playing right away, then this game is definitely for you. $14.99 isn't too bad at all for what you're getting. You're getting a ton of quests, you're getting a lot of missions, there's a lot of content in the game, there's a lot of stuff that you're going to be able to do. So it just kind of depends on that and how much you like Inti Creates. If you're an Azure Striker Gunvolt fan, or if you're a Mega Man fan, then this is probably a game that you want to check out at some point. I'm not the biggest Mega Man fan, but I do like Azure Striker Gunvolt. So it's definitely a game that I purchased myself, and I felt that it was pretty cool. And I'm probably going to play out some of the other characters as well. So what do you guys think about Dragon Marked for Death? Have you guys picked it up yet? Are you guys going to pick it up based on the video that I did here? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We got Facebook and Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Really helps to spread the content of PlayerEssence across the internet in addition to YouTube. Also, make sure you check out our Patreon, Twitch, and YouTube gaming page. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Lets me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for latest RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in for the next video. Peace.